Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylist podcast. I'm Emma Morton-Turner and you're listening to episode 22, How Paint Colours Can Make Your Eyes Sing with MD of Little Greene Paints, David Mottershead. So this episode was recorded during the Little Greene Paint Company's new green paint range launch, and there's quite a lot of people running around in the room that we recorded in. I managed to press the mute button in the middle of recording, so we had to start again at some points, and there's quite a few breaks in it. So I'm just giving you a heads up that there's quite a lot of, let's call it, ambience in the background. Lots of people running up and down the stairs. You can hear chatting in the background, but I don't think it stops you from being able to enjoy the episode. David is fantastic. He is such a character. I absolutely love listening to his stories when I go to the press launches, but I feel like he just gave me even more in this episode, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I think you will too. David is the MD of Little Greene. He's been in the company for a while and he really knows his stuff. He's got really good stories. Enjoy the episode. We're here for a new launch, and would you like to tell me about that? So it's a green launch.
Yes, so the new launch is to do with a new range of colours for Little Greene, and this range of colours is green. So it's quite unusual just to have a colour card made with just one range of colours, but actually it's quite normal for Little Greene.
Yeah.
So we've had previously a range of greys, we've had a range of pinks, we've had a range of blues, and now is the time for green. We think green is really on trend. Green has a good historic context as well, of course. There are lots of green colours used historically. And our new relationship that is, with National Trust means that we've got access to literally hundreds of beautiful homes for survey. We've spent
Sorry, do you go into the homes and then find colours that are used there specifically?
Absolutely.
And pick out the greens from those homes?
Absolutely, that's
right.
What we've been doing. So in fact, we haven't just been looking for greens, we've been looking for lots of different colours. Since February, we've already visited, about 96 different properties, searching for colour, searching for original colour. We don't want Dulux's colour that was put on 5 years ago, or Farrow and Ball's that was put on 6 years ago. We want to find out what is the original colour used in that room by some scientific analysis. So that work has been ongoing, really at breakneck speed, to allow us to launch a new range of colours in September this year. And that is the moment when really we tell the world, hey look, we're working with National Trust, and it's a serious proposition. It's not just somebody dreaming up some new colours with fancy names.
It's like it's green's turn sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you see green being the new kind of blue? Because blue's kind of was the new grey. Is green the new colour?
I think we're getting our heads around the idea of using darker colour. I think people got the message with dark grey quite quickly. Dark blue has become really on trend. I think we can also see that dark green and some darker muted reds can also be used in interiors in a fairly overall way, not just on trim or to frame the door or something like this. We need something more serious than that, and an all-over colour of some dark colour can be really beautiful, especially in a classic property where you're treating it in a contemporary way. You're sort of saying, well, I don't need to worry about all of this detailing. I'm just going to paint floor to ceiling and over to the other side of the room in one colour, and actually I'm going to use a dark colour. And this is really on the money right now.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people painting ceilings now, and like you say, painting quite dark colours.
Yes, and I think it's much easier now. I think people were constrained by the idea that they didn't have enough light in the room to allow a dark colour to exist on its own. And lighting is so cheap to run now that you can put lighting in the corners of a room and make the room seem much bigger than perhaps you'd previously thought, because with a dark finish, the corners and the edges can disappear from sight, and I think that's what makes people feel that the room has become smaller. Put some light into those corners and you get an echo which is really beautiful.
I've used Little Greene Paint Companies for shoots for quite a while, and I remember switching over from another brand because the VOCs in yours were so much lower that I have asthma and I used to cough when I had other paints, and when I used yours I didn't cough anymore. What's that about? You explain the reason for that.
It's about the way paints are formulated. Now, all paints contain some form of resin.
Yeah.
And that resin is the material which sticks the pigment onto the wall, if you like. So it's a form of glue. So a paint is really made up of glue and pigment, if we can just describe it in a very simplistic way. Some of those glues require solvents to make them stick properly.
Right.
The more expensive binders, as we call them, the more expensive glues don't require that, and they're the ones that we use, so that you don't get these solvents evaporating from the paint as the paint dries. And that's what was giving you that cough, that tickle in the back of your throat. And it is really just a tickle. I don't think there's anything particularly harmless, but it's seriously annoying.
I was going to say, my photographers hated it. It's literally, are you at it again?
Yeah.
That's really interesting about the solvent. I never thought of it like that. So that's why you have a different amount of solvent for different textures. So if you're painting wood, you have a higher content of solvent so it sticks.
It is, because it has to stick better. And because it's being damaged by the vacuum cleaner or whatever, or it's having to be scrubbed in the kitchen or something like this.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the reason why you need that tougher paint. A paint on the ceiling never gets touched. The worst it gets is a feather duster. So we don't need to worry at all about the strength and the stickiness of that product. So we organise to make different finishes for different surfaces.
So we're at the launch, and you have just probably said your details about the new colour range about 4 or 5 times now, and every time you talked about element of the National Trust, you had another story to tell. Have you been to a lot of the places?
Yes, of course.
All of them?
I haven't been to all of them.
A lot of them.
No, there are 97 properties that we've surveyed.
Wow. How did you do 97 and lots of different people?
Well, we employ a consultancy company to help with the work. And in fact, they do much of the collation of all of the different colours, because it would take us a lifetime.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, we're a busy business and a fast-growing business, and there just wouldn't be enough time for us to do all the donkey work. So, and I say that with the greatest respect, because the work they do is amazing.
Yeah. Well, you've retained so much information about all these different places, and every time I could hear you saying the story, there was another element of one of the properties that you were saying. I was like, oh yes, I've been to Chartwell and I've seen that wall. And
exactly.
It's fascinating. The whole connection between the paints and the NHS, the National Trust buildings, is fascinating. Really fascinating.
It's amazing, because most of the stories are completely untold.
Yes.
That's what's really nice about it. And we get a chance to tell these stories and produce the good colours, and the whole thing knits together.
Yeah.
I truly believe that people are interested in the history of things.
Yes.
Generally, they want to have an idea of why this colour and why this colour has this name, and what's its provenance, where has it come from. So it's really important to tell those stories, and tell them honestly and truthfully with proper research, not just a made-up sentence, you know. There needs to be more to it than that. For me.
And for the names, it was quite interesting what you were saying about Beatrix Potter's Gate, was it?
Yes. So that's right. So that was up in the Lake District at Beatrix Potter's house there. And that's just a colour of the gate. It's Mr. McGregor's gate in the Beatrix Potter stories, and we've called this gate colour Sage and Onions because of the Jemima Puddle Duck connection, and she was sent out by the sly Mr. Fox to go and collect sage and onions for stuffing. Yeah. You know, that, and the irony of that is lost on children, but the parents love it. You know, and,
exactly.
It's meant to be a little bit playful, but if you're interested, there's a story behind.
And is there that sort of story behind all the colours, all the
there
names?
Are. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
But they're not just plucked out of thin air.
Yeah, so, and they're all real properties that people can go and see.
Yeah.
And see the colours in their own environment, which is nice.
Yeah. So when did you start coming up with the plan of this? How long has it taken to get from kind of initial stages to being on the shop floor? Because it's launching in September, is that correct?
It's launching in September, so the colours will be available in our stockist network and our showrooms from about the 20th of September, so the beginning of Decorex, really, because Decorex is the official launch. Today is the launch to the press and to, well, everyone who watches internet streams and all the rest of it. So the news is out, if you like. And when did we start? Well, if we talk about National Trust, we first started talking to National Trust just over a year ago.
That's
So it's
That's
taken.
not long. I don't think that's long. for
No,
a
it
range.
isn't a long time, but you know, National Trust is a big organisation. It's very carefully structured, so all of the negotiations that place about what we can do and how we can do it, and the research, would we have access, and can we do film, can we do, you know, photography and all the rest of it. All of these points have to be carefully understood on both sides to make sure you get an honest relationship. So that takes time in itself. And then to do the research, well, we've identified 130 colours,
Yeah.
which are across the whole spectrum, from white through yellows, reds, greens, blues, blacks, etc. But we've really only verified 20. So it's taken us 4 months to verify 20.
Yeah.
And that means revisiting the site, checking the colours or our interpretations of those colours, making sure those colours are correct or as near to be correct as you can. Some of these ancient colours use toxic pigments,
Right.
so you can't
do that
You
now.
can't use the same pigmentation, so you have to find another way round, and that's a technical challenge that we have sometimes. So you've got to do all of that work. But yeah, 4 months, 20 colours. That's pretty good going, actually.
Yeah, I think I was much quicker than I was expecting you to say. So last time I saw you was when you launched the blue colour card, and you were telling me all about your haul and that you have 3 flights and you change the colour as you go up.
I did.
Are you swayed by the new ranges? When you see this new range, do you now want to use green in your home?
Well, it's funny because I took the brush out boards home. I was in Berlin on Friday with this launch, and I took the colour cards home over the weekend, and Jo and I were looking around the house, and she was saying, "Oh, I think we might change our dining room. What do you think?" And there's a very nice colour on there, which is a sort of bluish green called Pall Mall, and it was named after or named as one of the rooms in the house where the rules of croquet were first established. And this was one of the colours that was chosen from the wall to be put on one of the croquet balls. So it's a croquet ball colour by the official rules. You know, it's another bit of fun, really. But it really worked well with the wallpaper we have on. And but of course, then you say, well, if we chose that colour, would we really want this wallpaper?
Yeah, I was going to say.
You know, it's 3 years since we decorated it.
3 whole years.
Oh, 3 whole years. So I've got a feeling that something's going to happen, you know.
I was talking to some of the stylists upstairs, and we're very much into colour. We do enjoy the colour, and as you're looking, you're imagining where you would put it, either in a shoe or in your home. You can you have these colour and these like pieces of wood that are painted the true colours, and they're very matte. And when you put them together, you're like, you can just see everyone around the table watching, going, ooh, It's quite exciting that they're unusual matchings, but they work so well.
Well, and that's the whole thing, really. Having these large pieces of colour, these brush out boards as we call them, having these colours and putting them together means that your eye, if you're good with colour, and most women are, I have to tell you, most men are mediocre, I have to tell you, if you put these colours together, your eye sings. You can say, oh yes, that really is something, or no, that's a disaster. A lot of people can do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I believe that this is to do with couture. It's to do with every morning the guy gets up and he puts on a white shirt and blue trousers and black shoes, or maybe brown shoes if he's feeling a bit trendy. But the lady will put on a different coloured blouse, and then she's got to think about the shoes and then the handbag and the trousers and the coat and all the rest of it. So I think women are choosing colours every day in a really constructive way because it's really important to them. So when it comes to choosing colours for the home, nearly every occasion women are making the choices or having a big hand in that choice.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I've never thought of it in that respect, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
It's you're limited as a man in what the colours you can wear in general. Not colours,
Actually,
just...
You're not limited,
but
you
people
choose not.
the safer option sort of thing.
They do, and it's quite all right for guys to do that, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they might wear grey, and a few of them will wear brown. But I tell you what, we're getting towards the end of the spectrum already, and we've only talked about 3 colours. But for ladies, is hundreds of colours.
The world is your oyster.
But the difference is, of course, is that choosing a colour for yourself to wear is very different than choosing a colour for your room. Because if you choose a blouse which is an odd colour, and you see yourself in the window as you're walking down the street and think, oh, I'm not quite sure about that, you can take it home and hang it back in the wardrobe and no one ever sees it again. And it goes out to the charity shop in due course. You can't do that with your kitchen wall.
No.
And of course, your friends, your family, all come and have a look.
Yes.
And you fear to be ridiculed about your choice. That's why it's a really difficult project, choosing colours for your home. It's really difficult. And of course, what's our real aim? Your aim when you're choosing clothing is to be more beautiful, right?
Absolutely.
And it is exactly the same with your colour choices for your home.
Yes.
You become more beautiful if your house is beautiful. In the eyes of your
anyone
family
who's there.
and your friends and everyone else, they go,
Yes.
wow.
You want the wow.
Yeah, you become more beautiful with a good interior.
Yeah. I love it. That's why I'm an interior stylist.
Exactly.
I wanted to talk about your Instagram account, your Little Greene Instagram account.
All right.
It's fantastic. And I was talking to your marketing lady earlier, and we were discussing how it's really natural the way it's very much other people using your paints and putting on Instagram and you sharing them. And it's fascinating to see how many ways people use your paint, how it works in all different types of homes, but how your account has grown massively. Is social media a big thing for you? Are you working on that?
Yeah, we are working on it, but we specifically don't go out and buy likes or hearts or whatever it is.
Hate all that.
It's not interesting to do that because we want to understand how that works. And if you're just kidding yourself by getting somebody to like you because you get an offer of a free sample pot, well, where's that going? It's really not telling me
genuine.
very much. No, I think it's just massaging ego, really. I think we've focused on it very well. We're very keen to be accessible. So if there's any decent image, and what I mean by that is it's an image that can be portrayed well on screen, because we do get submissions of images that just don't work very well. Well, there's no point in putting them up because people get bored with them.
Yeah. So
if we've got any half decent image, we'll try and share it. It's just our philosophy of sharing the love.
Yeah, it's good because quite often brands will share all their images. I mean, your imagery, which is by Sally Denning, which is absolutely beautiful, but you can tell when something's been, it's not salesy the way you do it. So it's very good.
Thank you.
Good.
Oh, thank you for that.
Speaking of Sally, Sally's been shooting for you for, I think we discussed it saying about 10 years now.
I think it's 10 years. She said it was 10 years earlier today when I saw her. And well, maybe it is 10 years. 10 years passes very quickly.
It does, yes.
But she's a really stable part of the team.
Yeah,
And
lovely.
she's been with us and with Mark Scott, the photographer, for, well, as you say, 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely amazing. And we've done some tremendous things in that time, really. We've done a lot of different things. She understands us very well and we understand her very well. And she's great to work with because, frankly, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she does. I was talking to her about how she comes up with the rooms and how she puts it all together, and I heard you talking about how usually you would try and find a home that has quite a lot of architectural details, but when you don't have that, you can kind of change the way you're painting. So you can do like the bottom half of the room can be a dark green and the top half can be a lighter. And no, photography is absolutely stunning.
Well, we're very conscious that it's easy to slip into an environment where you're always looking for photo shoots with great architectural detail, but that isn't the general population of this country.
No.
We know that half of the housing in the UK is more than 100 years old. Okay, so that's just a fact. So half of the properties have got some real provenance to them, but half of them haven't.
Yeah.
And very often the walls and the shape of the rooms is really boring. So how can we bring paint to those spaces, not just as flat wall, but you can do something geometric with a horizontal line or a half and half, as you just described. You can bring a dark colour up from the ground over the skirting board, halfway up the wall and stop dead, and then move up to a different colour and wrap it over the ceiling and create something really nice in what was a really boring room.
Yeah, gives you focal interest.
And the cost of this is, what is it? It's a roll of masking tape and a spirit level and some care and attention. And you could do it yourself, or any decent decorator could do it in no time.
Do you think, I don't know if this is something you can actually monitor, but do you see the colours that are sold are increased from the images? So if someone sees an image, do they literally go in and say, I want those 3 colours in this shot?
I think a lot of people work from the images that we take, and very often we get requests for not only the paint, but where did you buy that chair and what's that table, etc. And I think then...
Is that next? Chairs?
Well, it could be. We get stuff from all over. And that's what I was talking about, accessibility earlier on. You know, we could get all of our baths from Drummond's, but that's not really the idea, because not everyone can afford a £5,000 bath. So let's work with something else and make sure that you can still create something beautiful with a bathroom rocker or porcelanosa. You know, there doesn't have to be everything exclusive.
So from the range, which would be your favourite colour? Is that like saying which is my favourite baby?
Well, it is a bit, I think... I do love Canton. I told you I have Canton in my hall, and it's on 3 levels, and I reduced it with white on the first level, and on the second level I reduced it further, and it became a sky blue at the end, and it was a really nice surprise. And anyone going up through the house sort of feels it, but they don't understand it, and that's what I like about doing that sort of thing. So in my house, I like the kitchen now, that's in Hicks blue, you see. That's Hicks blue with bathstone. And that's great. I don't know. You see, I think it's still Canton.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, so what's next then for Little Greene? Is there something in the pipeline that you're allowed to share with me?
Well, there's this thing about green that's coming out right now. There's a couple of other projects we're working on, which actually I haven't got far enough forward yet to tell you too much, but we want to raise the quality of our products even further. We have a great reputation for technical expertise, and if you're having a professional decorator, there's one thing they certainly want is a paint that applies well and covers well. And we intend to improve that. We intend to make that even more attractive to trade decorators, because we think more and more people are using trade decorators rather than doing it themselves. I think the closure of B&Q stores and home-based stores, as they've been doing recently, tells you that DIY hasn't got the attraction that it used to have. And despite the fact that we appear to be having some tough times on the high street, I think people still want real expertise. So I think working with the trade and making better quality products is something that we're focusing on now. And that will be at the end of the year that those products come out.
We shall watch this space then. Well, thank you very much for letting me talk with you today on what is a very busy day for you. I really appreciate your time. Very excited to see the launch go out and everyone get to see it. So thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Inside Stylist podcast. Do you agree? His stories are good, aren't they? And if you want to see any of the images that we were talking about that Sally styled, you'll find them over on the show notes, and that will be on insidestylist.com/Little Greene, and that's green with an E on the end. Until next time, bye for now.